Padre Island National Seashore is the fourth longest beach in the world, and I believe the largest unprotected barrier island in the world. And there's a lot of other fun tidbits that I learned throughout this adventure as, as we get interrupted by Regina and a narwhal. But I'm so excited personally, and as well on behalf of the Happy Endings Trail crew, to have this guest join us because we were involved somewhat and have been following along for quite some time as we are joined by a woman who has officially FKT'd the 65 plus mile endeavor. And from my experience, it was a wild one and just an absolutely jaw-dropping and breathtaking experience for all those involved. So we are super excited to have Katy Barber join us to the HappyCast for the first time, in a local Houstonian, which we've been getting chastised about not having enough local representation from DFW and or Houston lately. So first of all, welcome aboard, baby. Wow. Katy. Katy, wow. So Katy, how are you doing, and welcome to your inaugural HappyCast experience. And yeah, so how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing better than I thought I would be. A couple of days post run, but I'm happy to join you guys. Been listening for quite a while. These podcasts are pretty entertaining for me whenever I'm on the treadmill. So it's nice to join you guys in person.
And we are happy to have you join us. And there's actually a lot of pressure on our end because I know you do listen to some of these episodes. So some performance anxiety. I've already called you baby. And
well, and he did his research. He's never started an episode and actually knew what he was talking
we've
about.
Done this plenty of times. We've done this plenty of times where I bust out facts for some,
Have we?
some of the races. But, which I think is hilarious because joining Katy is Katy's coach. And this particular person has never paced their own athlete before until now. Chad Lasater is joining us, also from the Houston area in Sugar Land. But what's even funnier is that he probably has at least 3 episodes worth of running history we could tackle at some point. So we should probably do that. We talked a little bit. But Chad, welcome to your first episode of the HappyCast. Hopefully not the last. We'll see how this episode goes, though. You had the honor of pacing and coaching Katy for this Padre Island National Seashore, also known as PINS. We'll call it PINS from here on out. Experience. So we're excited to hear your point of view. And how are you doing, Chad?
I'm great. So thank you for having me on. It's great to finally be on the HappyCast. I'm quite honored. I feel like I've finally arrived. So thank you.
Yeah, I had to tell him Trevor had to wait 4 years, and I've probably only known Trevor Metting had to wait like 4 years, and I've only known I think Chad for a couple. So you did beat him to the punch. But the topic at hand, PINS, it's a beach run. It's all sand. And it's just, to me personally, sounds like a nightmare. I don't even like standing in sand because I'll just end up everywhere without me having to do anything. It's just there in all the places you don't want it to be. But this FKT has never been tackled before by a woman, and it's only been tackled by 2 people overall. Is that correct? And this is on an area of Texas that people may not be familiar with, or even across the country. Some of the most beautiful, untouched areas of beach we have in this country. And it was just, honestly, as someone that doesn't like the ocean, or like I said, sand, it's just such an amazing, isolative experience where you're just literally out in the middle of nowhere. To where I can't even imagine running it when crewing it was quite the experience. So we want to start, as I'm leading into it, why did you want to do this race?
That was my question. Why did
Wow.
you pick this one?
Well, let's edit this out. So let's go with Stephanie's question.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've had this idea, this thought. There was a specific camping trip that I took in 2021, like pandemic time. Everything wasn't quite back to normal, so I was camping a whole lot more. And I wanted to run. I had like a small workout, and I was try on the beach. Went and ran just like a quick out and back, and it kind of just like dawned on me as I was enjoying the ocean. I love the beach. Grew up in Houston, been down to Galveston, Surfside, pretty much down the whole coast. So a beach that I was familiar with. And I just remember kind of thinking like, wow, it's crazy that not many people get the opportunity to drive this entire beach. And that in itself is like a big experience. A lot of people will make YouTube videos about the journey driving down this remote beach. There's no cell signal. And I was like, how cool would it be to like Forrest Gump it and like run from end to end? And at the time when I had this idea, like I had barely run my first marathon. I was not really trail running that much. I was mostly doing CrossFit. So it seemed like such a big, grand, scary, far idea that probably would never happen. And over the last few years, it's kind of been a little bit more of a possibility. So that's kind of where this all started.
And you've been thinking about doing this even before you did your first 50K, right?
Yes.
Or is it around the same time? Because, yeah, you were, like, I haven't known you that long since my experience with Houston is still relatively fresh. But when you told me how long ago you were thinking about it, it's like, I don't even know if you're running yet. I mean, like, it's, this has been, I was shocked. I didn't realize this seed was planted so long ago. So that made this whole experience even more special. So, Chad, let's go to you for a second. As I found out, you've been coaching Katie now for not too long, correct? Earlier this year?
Yeah, since July.
Since July, and this was Katie's, I believe, your first big goal you wanted to tackle with Chad?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
kind of threw it on as a surprise. Wasn't sure about a date when we first started working together. Found an open spot on the calendar.
For those of you that do not know, Chad is the type of guy that you'll probably see on some USA running magazines, maybe just out there tackling some world championship level stuff. I was introduced to Chad by a very popular YouTube video about Tour de France, where he made many guest appearances. So you are a very well-traveled and successful runner yourself. Have you ever ran on sand before?
Not for 65 miles, that's for sure. I mean, I've done some runs on sand, but yeah, nothing like this. So when Katie mentioned this, it definitely didn't sound like something that would be really appealing to me. But I was happy to help her out. And as I started to look into it a little bit more, it looked really cool. So I was really honored whenever she asked me, to help crew and pace, because I certainly wouldn't have done that on my own. So it was just a really cool opportunity.
And Katie, as I've gotten to know you more, you are very motivated, and you stick to a very specific schedule. You're very analytical and just precise, and the most professional approach to your schedule, which absolutely drives me crazy as someone that likes to be chaotic in my scheduling. So the slow build up to this, and your beach runs that you'd go to Galveston, where a lot of people don't want to run on the beach.
I want to hear about that. So Andrew, you're talking from a place of watching her train. I did not know about her till the Girlfriends with Grit weekend. So will you tell us about how you trained for sand? You took trips to Galveston. What was your process there?
Yeah, I would throw it in the haters group chat if anyone wanted to join me, and I got no takers the entire year. But actually, before I had like put this on the calendar, it was something that I would occasionally go out and do just regardless, because I enjoyed the beach. I kind of liked the challenge. I knew it was good for my legs. Like again, Houston's super flat, so this was one way to get stronger. And it was always really nice just to be out there before anyone else was. You could see the sunrise, kind of like that nice, calm, serene moment. That was definitely a big motivator of what kept me going out there. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge as like the heat of the summer kicked in. I remember a few months I would show up and it would be like 5:30 in the morning and my car is like, it's 92 degrees outside. And I'm like, the sun's not even up. I'm about to be out here for a few hours. Like, this is miserable. You've got the option of going in the ocean, which Galveston's not the cleanest water, but it's what you got. So I would go in, and there were times where it was just like lukewarm bath water. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not getting any relief whatsoever. A lot of chafing. I had tons of time to experiment with like what clothes I wanted to wear because it was really clear it was either going to work for me or not. Same with my shoes. I found a pair of shoes that I absolutely love. They're not made for this at all, but they worked for that environment.
Okay, tell us, what are the shoes?
They're a pair of Merrill shoes that I've never worn Merrill before. They got like a kind of like a racing line, Long Sky 2, but the upper to them is like my favorite. The shoe, it's they call it like a maple, so it's like Kevlar fibers. So the sand and the ocean water is able just to go right in, right out. So it's kind of nice of like you're not holding that
Oh,
extra weight. It's soft and squishy. And then if I decided to take a dip and keep running, my feet were pretty much dry in like a quarter of a mile. So loved those shoes.
that was my next question about gear. Because did you? I didn't see. I don't think I saw you wearing gaiters. You just wore good shoes.
Yeah,
That's what shocked me.
I actually didn't ever train with gaiters. Lack of experience, but the only time I've worn gaiters was one time out at Habanero, when I did the relay a couple of years ago. But other than that, like I just have found good equip,
I
love my
can't do
socks.
gaiters. I feel like they
Yeah,
would probably help me, but I just can't do them.
yeah. I'm lucky that I wasn't like trudging through like the really soft powdery sand that you'll find like in Florida. And I think when I initially described this idea to a lot of people, that's what they had in mind of like, oh my gosh, you're going through like desert sand dunes along the ocean, and this is going to be just piling in and horrible. But actually, like the biggest complication was the heat and humidity and wind. Oh gosh, the wind. I felt a lot at doing this run. I
Okay,
had
wait. Before you get
hoped.
to the weather, what socks did you wear?
I have smart wool socks. They're like probably like the medium cushion. Nothing fancy. I've had them for
Toe socks or
backpacking.
no?
No, although a lot of people crewing were suggesting a lot of good ones that I'm probably going to try. But it's
Your
just
coach. I
yeah.
Okay,
mean,
wait.
that's
But
a
here's
big
my
crew
question:
member.
if your plan worked, did you have blisters on your toes?
Yeah, I did at the very
Okay.
end. They were matching, like just very specific spot, but they weren't like a crazy shape. All my toenails are intact. So I feel like my feet were in really great shape. I actually think the crew was disappointed when I took my socks off and like showed them my feet. Everyone was really into seeing what my feet looked like.
I'm just kind of disappointed in general about immediately you finishing and then the morning after, just how little complications you really had. Like especially on the drive back when apparently you were awake like the whole time. You didn't even pass out in the vehicle, like on the way back from finishing, and then the next morning you're just wobbling around like you just ran maybe a 15 miler, like nothing crazy. It was just I really wanted more like suffering,
Andrew,
especially since this is
this
her
is what
first
happens when
100K.
you're truly trained for your race.
Yeah, I mean, so this could be a testament to Chad's coaching. So, Chad, first of all, do you even have a name for your coaching services?
Well, I coach under the Team Run Run umbrella, so that's the coaching service that I use. But I mean, just getting back to Katie's training, I mean, she mentioned the beach runs, the runs in Galveston, and those were really important, leading up to this because, we really wanted to get that so we could, get that specificity for, the long beach run. So that really gave her an opportunity to try out the socks, to try out her nutrition, to try out her hydration. So I mean, that's really, one of the big reasons that it went so well is because she was prepared and she really put in a ton of work leading up to it. So I mean, it's all down to Katie and all the hard work that she put in leading up to the FKT.
Because it's not just you preparing someone to run on this type of terrain for the first time. This is her first like 100K distance, almost double her previous, which it was somewhere around what, 36, 37 miles, something like that, Katie?
Yep.
I mean, so it's just a lot at once. So I just want to know how your approach to this was for her and how, like, what was your strategy? Like, I don't know how often you have to help someone reach their new PR like this, like in such a wild and untamed, like the elements. There's so many potential
Yeah.
elements. I mean, we saw random stuff out there on the beach. I mean, it's just like so. Just muted
Yeah.
myself. How do you do this? Like, what
Well,
do
I
you?
mean, when we started working together, I mean, this was, the big goal. So we looked at what she had done leading up to it. So I mean, there were a few things that we focused on. One was the sand training. Also, we increased the volume that she was running, just to make sure that she had the miles on her legs. And then we also started doing more speed work, just to kind of improve her fatigue resistance. So I think all of that together and, working on her nutrition, um, that was another thing just to really train her gut, get her used to taking in, tons of gels, hydration mix, just to get the carbs that she needed during the run itself. So it wasn't just really one thing. It was just a lot of things that we worked on.
And before we get into the specifics of this race, Stephanie, do you have a question?
I'll just write a note so you can finish your thought. I'm gonna interject. I'm taking.
Yeah, because we are going to do a deep dive into the actual race experience itself. Katie, you had a few meetings with your crew. So first, how did you assemble your crew? Because that was a beautiful set of crew that you had out there. Just a lot of support, a lot of people just sharing in your experience. And so, how did the crew come together?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was way better, like a gazillion times better than I had ever pictured. I feel like the crew that raised their hand, they had so much well-rounded experience, terrain, distance. Like I felt like I had like the perfect bouquet of people and all their different ways to support me out there, and they each got to like highlight their what they could bring to help me make this possible. It was small nuggets. I'm still like discovering some of those nuggets as I go back through some of the photos and videos of pieces that I thought I was seeing was in kind of a blurred state and seeing it again. But yeah, I had mentioned it in like the haters group. Actually, well, I'll go back a little bit. It was the first year of Girlfriends with Grit that I actually said this idea out loud, that I shared with the group that this was something that I wanted to do. And of course, like Regina was super excited. She was all in, already giving me tips of how to approach it, and was really like gunning me on of like, well, let's do it. You know, she's one of the Texas FKT queens out there. So it was nice to have her like excited about it. But the underlying sentiment was nobody wanted to run on the sand with me. Nobody liked the idea of this beach run being something that they would want to do with me or like attempt in competition with me. So yeah, mentioned it to some friends in the trail running community here, and then did a post on Instagram and had a couple more people raise their hand. And a month before, so in October, threw everyone in a group chat and said, okay, we're going to do a planning meeting, and kind of went from there.
Okay, so
Do you want me to chime in?
yeah, I thought you were gonna chime in. That
Okay,
was your
so
open space right
part
there,
of
man. Just right in
part
there.
of my questions is I like to do like the big picture. So tell us what your time was for finishing this.
Time for finishing was 13:45.
Okay, and that's like really close to your what's your 50K PR? 6 hours?
Well, I actually PR'd my 50K during doing this.
Okay, this is what I want to talk about. Like, not only did you like do this double distance, but your finishing time compared to like the 50Ks you did showed that you had the endurance for like twice, like doubling your distance. Even though you'd never seen it, like you fucking crushed it. So, what did you PR your 50K in for this?
Yeah, it was, oh gosh. I don't even, I feel like I still had more in the tank if I was like, if I knew I was only going to do a 50K out there. Like, I just remember actively trying to pull myself back. Also, because at the beginning, I was dropping like 8:45 pace for the first few miles. And I was like, what am I doing? Oh my gosh, it's dark. I'm kicking crabs with my headlamp. And so it was exciting to see that I had progressed in what I feel like is such a short period of time. I took some like serious like off season time after a couple of races in June, uh, and then started working with Chad, and we really just like kicked it into gear.
And Chad, I'm assuming just like me and some of the other people, I believe the 8:30 plus pace or somewhere around there to start this FKT attempt was probably not in the original plan, correct?
No, yeah, she started off a little aggressively, but you know, she was feeling good. It was cooler at that time. You know, the sun wasn't up yet, so you know, I don't feel like that really hurt her in the overall grand, you know, the grand scheme of things. But yeah, it's she could have gone out a little bit more conservatively.
All right, so since we're already kind of getting into it, let's get to the actual race experience itself. Because I think there were just some funny things that maybe you're not aware of, or just, and then some of the things that, like we want to hear from your perspective. First of all, the night before, we went to basically an abandoned Sonic to go eat. It turned into another restaurant that no one was there. So we had to go find another last minute place, another burger place, because you really wanted a burger. And then everyone just arrived at different times, so everything's kind of getting to a late start. We have the pre-race meeting later than I believe you wanted. Um, People, everything was just kind of like rushed and just like, we don't. Last thing we want to do is put stress on Katie before her big FKT, but it was kind of a hectic start to the race. But we flash forward to the morning of the race, and the start is interesting. We have to drop her off at the beach front. What was the name of the place, Katie?
It's labeled just as like a photo op opportunity at the Pylons,
The
which is,
Pylons.
yeah, the official start of like the island beach.
So we drop her off at the pylons, and the whole thing with this FKT is that we drive basically with Katie, or in this case, we go 5 miles ahead and wait for her. Except for at the start, we can only drop her off, and we have to get off the road to find another beach access 5 miles down, because I guess they wanted to block off 5 miles of beach from vehicle access for whatever reason. Katie, none of none of us knew where to go once we dropped you off. I don't know if anyone told you this. We had no idea where to go. I will admit, I was kind of a stowaway on this trip. I was just like, my goal is just to drive. I'm basically Ryan Gosling in the movie Drive, where I don't know anything. All I know is how I do. Like, I just drive. That's all I do. And it was just like, I didn't want to ask people in front of you, but it was like, all right, where do we go next? And Kevin's like, I don't know. I'm just following you. It's just like, Does anyone know where to go? It's like, uh-oh. So we're Google mapping. Like, all right, we have 5 miles, guys. We have 5 miles to try to find where we're going to meet Kate. We're Google mapping the name of places. And we put our first location we thought it could be entrance. It was just a giant parking lot, and the we have 2 vehicles out there, or 3 because Regina joined us separately, just doing circles in a parking lot. And we cannot find the beach access. And we're just like, oh, what is this? We go down further and we see Kevin start going down a restricted access road. And just like, that's not it at all. And eventually we realized if we just stayed on the highway, it took us to the beach. So we just kept trying to turn off. Luckily, we made it, I think, like 15 minutes before he showed up. But I will say that was the only real challenge logistically. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious, now that we can mention it, that we all probably knew where to go. We just, I think, all expected to follow each other to get there. And the last person you want to follow is me, because I'm just there to do one job, drive, and do whatever people tell me. So I thought that was a pretty funny start to the race. And we should mention the crew real fast. So I was one of the drivers. Kevin Christensen, who's Shelby's significant other, it was one of the other drivers. We had Chad Lasater as the coach and one of the main pacers, John Kilburn, one of the other pacers who's done quite a few of his amazing races recently. We had Regina, who was on call but was able to come out a few times, so it was great having her around. And who else was there?
I had Laura.
Laura, oh yeah, the Birkenstock lady. We'll get to her in a second, I'm sure. She lost some stuff out there. And then Jamie. How did I forget Jamie? So
All my new friends.
yeah, it's just a fantastic ragtag team. And yeah, so that was the start of the race. I don't know if anyone told you that we kind of were in a little bit of a panic spot to begin the race, but
I think Kevin and Jamie were telling me a little bit about it when they were driving me back after the finish, and we were just hauling down the beach in the dark. But no, it didn't dawn on me. I was like, whoa, the night before I had y'all drive me to the starting point just so that was familiar, but we didn't drive to the next point where you guys needed to actually catch up with me.
Yeah, so by running so fast, you almost sabotaged your own FKT. So, 'cause
I did not want you to go through what I went through once, where I showed up before my crew was there and I thought the world was ending, or just like, and then it's just like, especially at FKT, this is not an official race, so FKT, you don't know where the hell we are. Like, so that would have been, I don't know what your thought process would have been. One time I didn't show up because we couldn't get there on time for Regina at an aid station cruise. Well, she just kept running. But would have no idea if you kept running or you're just out there somewhere. But yeah. So we alluded to it, first few miles, you're running pretty fast. You get there to us pretty fast. Originally, the idea is to hopscotch. One vehicle will see you, and we have all our stuff. And then another vehicle will go 5 miles down the road. So they're ready for you at the next stop. And then our vehicle would pass you and drop off stuff to that vehicle. And then we would go 5 miles. So the original idea was to never really see each other, the 2 vehicles. But we decided we want to have fun in the beach. So both vehicles were together the whole time, every 5 miles. So let's talk about we talked about the first few miles. Let's talk about, let's say the first 15 overall. As the sun is starting to come up. How are you feeling, and how is the experience so far?
I was feeling pretty strong, but honestly, right off the bat, I was trying not to be disappointed, because as soon as, like, I guess going back to the start a little bit, as soon as I stepped out of the vehicle, all I could feel was how much the wind was blowing right at my face. And I was like, man, this is really heavy, and I'm just standing here, and I'm about to have to go into that and be in this all day. So I was really trying to like shove that down and be like, I've been running in this before. Like, I've chosen to run in the headwind before. Like, it's fine. I've already done this. So trying to just like recollect myself. So other than feeling just like the adrenaline pop of the first like 5K when I was running way too fast, it didn't feel that way yet. I was still like just trying to collect myself, especially after I saw you guys for the first 5. I was like, okay, just settle in, make sure I'm drinking. But it was easy because the sun was coming up and it was gorgeous out there. I was so happy to know that you guys were getting to see what I was getting to see. But that's like some of my favorite parts of all these beach runs is like there's almost like a double sunrise. Like you get the first like pop wave of these bright colors, but the sun isn't actually up. And then it kind of fizzles out. And then when the sun actually peeps over the water, then you get to see like the full rainbow of colors. So it was really like very, very zen, and with the wind too. I couldn't hear anything but the wind and the ocean waves. So it was challenging, but really nice at the same time. So yeah, at that point I was just, trying to collect myself, find a smooth pace, make sure I was drinking. Cause I also noticed when I met you guys for the first 5 miles, I'd barely taken any sips. And I was happy to have my headlamp off. Like that was just annoying me for some reason that morning. And yeah, I was finding like really strong moments of like, holy crap, I'm doing this, and they're there. Like, okay, like it's really happening. I kind of like was in disbelief for several parts.
And I remember everyone just being concerned about your lack of drinking. It was kind of something that came and went quite a bit throughout the whole day. Also learned about your caffeine tolerance levels, which from now on out, I will make sure you are nowhere near one of my energy drinks, or that there will be cross-contamination. So now that we know just how sensitive you are to
share
caffeine.
the story. Don't leave us hanging there.
Well, it's a little later on, but we'll get there here in a second.
Do we do things in chronological order?
No,
on
and
this
that's
show?
why people love us, because we're
Okay,
just
so
really
tell
shitty
us.
with chronological events, telling things. So let's talk about nutrition
I'm gonna put a note
and
that you have to tell us
caffeine
about this
in
later.
general. No, we're gonna do it now. Let's because I kind of wanted to ask about it because we haven't yet. What was your nutritional plan, and the caffeine part? Where does that come in?
So my like the majority of my nutrition was using my Never Second gels and high carb mix for my handhelds. I kind of had it mapped out of how much I should be consuming for those 5 miles, alternating at one point caffeinated, non-caffeinated gels, if not leaning towards no caffeine. My heart rate doesn't do very well with a lot of caffeine. There have been a couple of like shorter races where I'm like, all right, let's get the caffeine pop, and it shoots my heart rate up and I'm exhausted and I don't perform very well. So I was holding off until I knew I was ready for any caffeine. So I think the first caffeinated gel I took was like around mile 20. But yeah, and then like other food, I had packed bananas, oranges, watermelon. I had a couple of conchas. I tried out Girlfriends at Grit. Someone mentioned these the Uncrustables that were peanut butter and honey, and I sometimes will have honey with me. I was like, oh, this is perfect. They're packaged, so I had those with me, and then Nerds gummy clusters and Lay's potato chips because I love those out there. So yeah, that was the majority of the food. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't know. At one point, everyone was just putting food in both of my hands and force feeding me to just take a bite because I was really not wanting to.
I feel like you were just nibbling on the same concha the whole time. Like, I don't even know if you actually finished one. It just looked like the same one. They just kept giving back to you.
It was, the same half. And I was like, oh my God, it's still here.
Okay, so I don't know the logistics. They had to wait 5 miles to see you, but then after that, were they able to like drive alongside you, or how often did you see them after that?
We pretty much like found the cadence of so down the beach there are these telephone poles that had the 5 mile marker numbers. So that was a guide that I'd given the crew of like check in with me. At one point I was saying every 10 miles. That's what I was thinking. But then Regina and a few others were like, if you're doing this supported, get support. Don't carry anything. Like have them ferry all your stuff, get as many check-ins as you need. So then we like adjusted it to every 5 miles. So I knew to look for like that telephone pole and that the crew would like generally be about there. There were a couple of times that one of the vehicles would drive back. I remember it was still in the morning. It hadn't gotten hot at that point, but Jamie, Regina, and John had held back because there was a loose dog. So that was like really sweet that they were like that they noticed the dog and they wanted to make sure the dog wasn't like going to come try to attack me, because that's happened before. But it ended up being kind of sad because it was a really old chunky dog, so we didn't know if he had like gotten loose from someone's camp or if someone had left him there. But it was like that was like a sweet moment of like I'm just like running by and I wanted to stop and pet the dog. His tail was wagging and everything. But yeah, so there was like small moments like that where they would come back. Regina drove by a couple of times. I think it was right before she was getting ready to head back. She was like honking her horn. Everyone's hollering out the window. Which that was the energy I wanted. I told the crew in the meetings, I was like, this is going to be really hard. So there's all this needs to be fun. Like I want you guys to have fun. Make me have fun, because like no one's twisting my arm to do this. I'm choosing to do it, so it might as well be fun.
And as far as the driving alongside thing, I kind of envisioned early on that maybe it would be something similar to that. But then one day after brunch, after we had a few cocktails, we decided to watch YouTube videos that Katie sent us of just the beach, that beach, Padre Island National Seashore. And one of the videos was dedicated to this guy for free, just going around the beach towing people out of sand. Like, it was just something about it was like, we were glued to the television. And we just like spent our afternoon watching this. And then I was like, oh shoot, that's going to be me soon. Like, and like whoever else is driving, we're going to be driving on that sand. So it actually made me pretty nervous. And during the day, the drivable parts of the sand is usually taken up by foot traffic or people fishing. So we ended up having to drive on some pretty rough terrain in spots. That was not a problem at night when we drove back at all. In fact, we were speeding. But you had to go a certain speed in order to make it through some of the sand, or you're probably getting stuck. So driving alongside her wasn't going to be feasible for a lot of spots, because we would have to floor it and then just blow dust like sand in her face in the process. But I could do a whole episode about just driving on the beach, because I was very nervous after doing everything I've done. I've never driven on the beach before, but yeah, it just cannot underestimate or overestimate just how interesting and kind of scary at times. And Chad can attest, there was a few times where we had to like floor it just to get through like some rough patches, and it was just like, whoa, holy shit, like it's like this thing is stalling. But back to the beginning of this race, Chad, at this point you're an observer. Hey, I haven't popped in yet to pace. How were you thinking her performance was, and as far as like, is it meeting her goal? Are you proud of what she's doing, or do you have any concerns? What's your overall evaluation of like this first half of her race?
Yeah, I thought, early on she was doing great. I mean, she was staying positive. She was smiling. She looked fantastic, running wise. The biggest concern, like you mentioned, was just the hydration. She was coming in, with half full bottles. So, that was obviously a concern because we knew that would eventually catch up with her. But she was eating early on, which was great. That's something that we had talked about beforehand, that she needed to make sure and start eating early on and keep that going. And she was sticking to the plan on the nutrition, which I think was a big part of it.
And so, as you're approaching like the longest distance you've ever done, sometime around the 30-mile mark, we kind of all expected maybe like you're going to probably start experiencing things, and how would this display at the cruise stop? Some people just really lay it all out there and just like take their time. They let their emotions show. Katie, from an outside observation, you only really had one moment, and it was somewhere in the mile 30 or so mark. Was that right?
Yep.
Where you're just like hanging outside the side of the car, passenger car door, and you're just like barely sitting down. No seats were allowed. Like no one brought chairs for Katie to sit in. but she would like kind of sit halfway on like the side of a seat on the side of the car, and you didn't really say anything. You looked tired, like you're taking a power nap. So this was somewhere. What mileage would you say this was at?
Uh, this was between, I think it was closer to 40 because
Closer to 40.
I knew I wanted to get through the first 50K by myself just for the sake of like just doing it completely solo before I asked someone to hop in with me. Um, yeah, because was the first person to hop in, and I had already kind of like started to feel the heat a little bit. And I, at the time, somehow I chose not to listen to music for the whole 50K. And it didn't really
Wait,
bother.
what? Why? What happened?
She wanted her to hear the sounds of nature because it was gonna be completely different each time. It's not like she's gonna be hearing the same thing over and over again. Like, just it's
Yeah,
just
like I had my music ready. I had playlists ready to go, but there was just something about it where I was like, well, I don't want to like block it out. And I just kind of did it like fully experience being there. And I also didn't want to use my music as a crutch because I know that could definitely like I've had a couple of like rough long runs where I'm like, I just need to totally zone out. And I didn't want to like rely on that so early on. But once I picked up John, he had a really cool like little Bluetooth speaker that I had never seen, had an awesome playlist, and then it was like boom, we were jamming out again. We were singing a couple of the like mashup songs, and it was music I hadn't heard in a while. It was good cadence. My pace went back to like where I was holding it. I'd like kind of started to fall off a little bit there. Was feeling really, really good, and he was great about handing me my 2 gels that I was supposed to take. And the last one was like about a mile before we were going to get to the crew. And it was, I think that was my second caffeinated gel. Took it, no issue, still jamming out. I just remember coming in and I was like excited. I was like, man, we're like rocking and rolling. And I was going to pick up Laura. And then John was like, well, I'll do more. So it was going to be me, John, and Laura. And it was maybe like a mile into that 5-leg section. Well, I guess let me back up to the crew stop. You guys were already on me. I didn't notice until later, but I think Jamie saw that I had like the white salt outline on my shorts. And you guys were like really on me at that point to like consume a lot more fluid, to eat a lot more. And Jamie handed me a Coke, and I don't ever drink soda. It's typically only in races that I'll have a little bit of Coke, which is why I brought them with me. But I had the whole like little like mini can, and I just remember thinking like, oh, that was great. Like I'm jamming, rocking and rolling. And then once we took off on that next section, it was like a mile after, and I was like, something's not right. Like I'm feeling a little off. Like what's going on? Like I can see straight. The sun is hot, but it's not like overwhelming. Like something's not right. And I could tell that I was moving slower. And that's when I like glanced down at my watch, and John and I were cruising at like a 10:15 pace, 10:30 pace. And I was now moving at, I remember seeing 11:10, and my heart rate was 185. And I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, okay. I need to like collect myself. Like, that's why I'm not feeling good. How long has my heart rate been this high? Like I need to like just do like a quick come down so I could reset and get back at it. So that was the first time I asked Laura and John if I could walk for a little bit. And they were like, yeah. So I walked until I got my heart rate back. But it was every time that I would take off running again, my heart rate just automatically shot back up and I could feel it. And then it was like at that point, I also felt how hot it was outside, not knowing that it was like 1 p.m. Of course, it's the hottest part of the day. And when I got back to the next crew stop, I felt like this like kind of, I don't know, to me, I was not collected. I was like, oh my God, I have this exhaustion in my chest, and it didn't feel like it was going to go away. Just like this like heavy, I overdid it. And I was really hot. And so that's when, yeah, I was like slumped over on the side of the car. And I was like, okay, just calm down. Everybody was like coming over with ice and like wet, like a towel, and put it all over me. So everybody was doing great things. But I think it was just the heat caught up to me. I probably should have been drinking more fluids before the hottest part of the day. And then having so much caffeine in like a 2 mile distance, it just shot me up. So that I think was like the biggest derail of my jam session that I had up until that point.
And Chad, you are not just a coach, but an active participant and a passive observer, an active observer actually at this point, because you're actually there watching your athlete run. So
Yep.
what's kind of going through your mind as you're seeing this moment in particular happen, where she spent longer at the cruise stop than expected, and she just looked absolutely exhausted. What are you thinking at this point?
Yeah, well, obviously it was a lot of concern at that point. We had been trying to keep her really cool throughout the run. She was wearing an ice bandana and we were changing it out, every 5 miles. So I think that was, we were trying to keep her cool. That way, she could keep eating throughout. And, I feel like that was helping. But, I think we all kind of realized that it was the caffeine. It was just too much. So, at that point, when she was at her low, that's the time it was my turn to go out with her. So, we just got her out. We started walking and, we knew that with time, she would turn it around. So, I mean, she did great. She was really patient. We started doing a run walk routine at that point. We were like, walking 1 minute, running 5, and we did that for a while, and then she really turned it around, super quick. I feel like within 10 to 15 minutes, I think the caffeine was kind of processing through her system, and she started feeling better, and she turned it around. But just hats off to Katie for staying positive and listening to the crew, and just she didn't panic at all. She just and she never once even mentioned quitting or stopping or throwing in the towel. I mean, she was always like, okay, let's get moving. So that was super impressive.
The other hats off to you is that you were able to say in this moment something doesn't feel right so that you could listen to your crew. And like if you would have just like not been so aware or self-aware of your body, I feel like there's so much value in just always checking in with yourself that you were able to stop, and then people were like, okay, how can we troubleshoot? So that's incredible growth, like for doubling your distance and then handling it all so well.
And plus, those are what we call like good breaks. Like, yes, it was longer than you wanted, but you take care of the problems there, and just take a moment to just sit back and just assess the situation. And I believe it was either the next one or the one after that where she never stopped again. Anytime she would see our vehicle, she would have her pacers. Usually, Jamie and Chad run up ahead and get stuff. So by the time that Katie showed up, she just walked on through, and so never had to see us again. So it really paid dividends in the end of the race. But Chad, you were now pacing Katie, and at this point, Katie had some stretches where everyone other than the two drivers, so me and Kevin, were out there running with her. So, from your perspective, Katie, the floodgates kind of opened as far as like the amount of people pacing you. Just how was the company for this latter half of this race? Like, how did it help with your race?
It was, I mean, I was still uncomfortable and like I was hurting, but it felt like a group run, like a Haters Saturday group run. And I just remember being like so abundantly grateful because at the beginning of this and even through the planning, like nobody was still like super excited to run a lot of distance on the beach. So to see everyone like excited to pop in for another 5 mile section, Jamie wasn't planning on running at all with me, and she joined me for I think like 15 miles or so. Like, so it was just like, it meant a lot that everybody wanted to be there. And I could tell it wasn't like, oh gosh, okay, watching my, sun's going down. Like, all right, let's hurry up and get her through. Like I felt everyone's genuine support, and it was a little overwhelming at times. I just wasn't expecting that. I hadn't had that experience before. So in the best way though.
Yeah, Jamie did 20 miles to just
Wow.
We don't want to
Yeah,
shortchange
yeah,
her.
No.
it went
So
from
yeah,
0 miles to potentially to 20 miles, which
yeah.
I love when I just accidentally do 20 miles. And it's like, oh, hey, it's fun. I earned my beer for that. It was just a fun experience in general. Like the crew would go up ahead, and especially Jamie, she would just do sand castles and leave messages in the sand for Katie. So when she came across it, she would see some messages or be tempted to play a game of hopscotch and some other things. I wrote one message, and right after writing the message, I instantly lost the shovel and got a blister. So I decided not to contribute anymore after that. But it was just a lot of fun for the crew as well. Once the initial like worry of being out in the middle of some relatively treacherous terrain, dissipated, but it was just such a great group of people you had. Just everyone coming together and supporting you. It went by so fast. Like I know like your perspective is always gonna be yours. We can never understand it, but to us, we're like, wow, that went by. That was wow, Jesus. It's the same day. This is the sun just went down. Like this is and it just. I felt like every time we drove 5 miles ahead, you were almost there. Like it's like she almost outran us. But Chad, let's hear from your perspective. You are pacing someone for the first 100K. You did the rest of the way, so almost a marathon, with her to the end, and you're having to not just be someone that's pacing, but also the problem solver, and more because you're also her coach. So how was this 26 mile to the finish experience for you? And
Oh, it was great. I mean, for me, I was having a blast. Just the being out there, with the wind blowing at your face, the sea was crashing in. There weren't very many people out there other than the fishermen. It was just such a cool experience. And, just to get to share that with Katie it was really something special. Just a lot of fun. And I mean, just the problem solving and Katie was so open-minded and she was trying anything and everything. When she was going through the lows, we were working through those. I was telling her stories to distract her. We were going through, doing some mental strategies, some mindfulness stuff. She was just open to anything and everything just to keep going. Just so positive throughout the run. So it was a great experience. So
That was
and
honestly probably like my most like grateful section too, was to have your wisdom and your stories, and the mindfulness tips were huge. I was like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. Why wouldn't I do it in the middle of a run like this? This is perfect.
and there, you had an original goal time. You wanted to finish by basically with the sun setting. It went on a little longer than that, but at that point, you're so close to the end. It doesn't really matter. But I do want to ask, though, mentally, how was that? Like the first one, this isn't just your longest distance ever, but you're also finishing in a time you weren't really expecting, which can kind of really create some tension mentally in some people to finish strong, which you absolutely did not have that problem. But the end of this race, the last like 10 miles, what's kind of going through your head as all these things are starting to, come into picture?
To be honest, I was getting frustrated with myself because the whole idea was to finish maybe just right at sunset or as the sun's going down. I didn't want to be finishing in the dark because I didn't want the crew to be like fumbling through everything. You got to pull the lights back out. You're at the beach. Tides fully come in, so you don't want your car to get stuck in the ocean. And so I was frustrated in that, but I think it kind of came and went because I was also just like acknowledging who was with me and seeing that everyone was still laughing and having a good time. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this thing. We're having it. Like, it's fine. Like, it'll be okay. I'm still pushing. I didn't give up, but it's like, I don't need to beat down on myself. Prior to that though, the first, like, I'm going to call it my heat meltdown, caffeine meltdown. I remember when my watch like beeped for, clicked for the next mile, and it was a 30-minute stop. And that's when like I was like, well, crap. Like I knew at that point it was going to be a stretch for me to regain that time. Like all of the time I had banked in the morning, like that was gone in just one stop. So I think I knew at that point, and I don't know. I'm competitive, but I also wanted to just appreciate the whole experience, that there was a lot of other things that were so much better than I had planned and imagined for. And I wanted to embrace that.
And the finish was kind of epic because, unbeknownst to some of us, although we kind of figured, because the last like 20 miles, there was like no one on the beach anymore. And in my head, I'm like, well, maybe it's because they're that close to the end of the beach that they might as well go to the very end. And when we showed up at the very end of the beach, it's like a party. There's over 50 people there, camping, drinking, the sun's going down. It's at the very end of the beach. The only way out is to go 65 miles backwards. And everyone's having a good time. And I remember us going backwards. Me, Kevin, and John Kilburn were the only ones not running in with Katie at the end. We walked a mile and a half backwards to run it in with Katie. And I'll never forget just the song "Oh Baby" by LCD Sound System randomly started playing, which I would not have pinned as like the finisher song. But then you started picking up the pace, and then some song, I'm sure it was a song about sex, I don't know, popped in, and then I don't know, it was it just, the vibes were immaculate, sexually speaking. And she drops the hammer and is doing like a 7-minute pace or something, drops me and John, and is dropping everyone. I'm fuck this. That's some of the strongest finisher energy. So let's talk about the finish then, as we get near the end of this. How was this finish for you? Because I thought it was just kind of like, it was really awesome and just the perfect place to end it.
It was exactly that. It was pretty epic. I didn't know that the crew had planned to run the last mile with me. And I was like, oh my God, like even Andrew and Kevin, y'all been driving all day and y'all are still going to run this last mile. So I was also like, all right, I did know ahead of time. I needed to gas it. I needed to finish empty. I wanted to be wrecked by the end of it. Like that, I didn't know how fast I'd be actually moving. But that was the goal, was to have nothing left. So yeah, music's playing. The song Andrew's mentioning was a song Jamie and I had jammed out to at Girlfriends with Grit, and it's just EDM house music, and then there's one drop, and it's like, and everybody get naked, and so we joked we were just gonna like shout that on the top of the Franklin Mountains. So when it came on again, we're just laughing and running a little bit faster and faster. And I just remember at one point, John like kind of like tapped me and he's like, hey, do you see those lights up there? And I was like, yeah, I see all the lights. He's like, that's it. That's the finish. That's where all the campers are. And I was like, oh my God. Like in that moment, I thought they were less than 400 meters away. And I was like, we got to go. Like, this is it. And so I just like looked over at him and I was like, fuck it. I just took off. But
they were not near the finish. No.
Yeah.
just like I held on for dear life, and just like I was wearing a shirt that had Jamie's face. It was like a Hawaiian shirt that I made, and it just acted like a parachute. And I just couldn't run, and it's just she dropped us. She was, I think, the only person she was not going to drop was Chad. But it was insane how much she just like let it all out there, turned it on. It was an epic finish. I mean,
But
I don't know.
that 400 meters was more like a mile. So
Yeah, I mean, metric system. Nobody here, we don't understand it. I mean, I know, Chad, you like to go by it. The few times I heard you out there describing things in kilometers a lot, or meters, I'm just like, oh man. Do you have your watch set to that?
I do.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I'm a kilometers guy. They just
Yeah,
they tick over faster, so you get
yeah,
more of them. You get
yeah.
more beeps.
So the finish of this race, I thought was hilarious, and we'll start wrapping this up. But she's going through everything, and I'm sure Stephanie, you can attest to this, and maybe Chad. I know we discussed it a bit, but she, what are you going through? I want to hear it from you. Your body, what's going on there?
Well, I was really grateful that there was like a flat one of like those big granite jetty rocks. There was a flat one that I could just kind of like flop myself on. I remember just feeling how completely sweaty I was, and that like solid exhaustion was just all over my body. But I was like still on like the sprinting high, even though yes, it was way further than I thought it was. There was at one point I was like, oh my God, I'm dying again, but I can't slow jog this to the end. So I just held on. But yeah, I surprisingly felt okay. I remember like chatting with everybody there. We were laughing. I think Kevin had finally made it back with the speakers, so, like music was again. I remember looking at some of the fishing camps and thinking like they have no idea why we're all just like being hooligans over here, but we're matching the vibes with their, Saturday night camping and drinking all the lights and just all the things. And it was when we were kind of getting ready to like wrap up, and we decided to not camp there and to drive back. I stood up and then I thought I was okay. I was actually barely able to stand. I realized that like my legs were kind of locking up at that point, and it hurt to like put my feet on the ground. And then all of a sudden, I just got this like wave of, I didn't know what was happening. I knew I wasn't okay. I felt like almost a little dizzy. My heart was racing. I was nauseous. I got like cold sweats. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like, what is this? So I just like turned around and leaned on a rock because I just wanted to vomit at that point so that that feeling would go away. I was like, just get it over with. And I couldn't. But then Andrew, I think you and John, y'all got so excited when you saw me going through this. You were like, yeah, embrace it. This is the best feeling you're going to have.
You're going to miss
like,
it. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm dying. What do you mean I'm going to miss this?
That's the price you pay for pushing at the end. But the fact that you recovered the next day meant like you gave it your all.
That part
and you
pissed me
trained
off.
to get
Yeah.
there. Like I know there's been times when I run it in and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna throw up. And it's like, that's why we didn't run it in 3 miles back. This is why we ran it in the last mile and not the last 3.
But it was funny. We really had to spend quite some time on that rock. And I will mention, we decided for you not to camp. The original plan, which we definitely axed behind your back, was we were actually going to stop at the finish, so 62 miles away from where we could escape the beach, and we were going to camp there. We all had our camping gear because Katie wanted to camp there. And then all throughout the day, just the weather and just how moist and just like the beach environment would be so uncomfortable to sleep in after running 65 miles that we were all like, we're going to try to convince her to go back and like drive back to our Airbnb. We would drive the 2 to 3 hours on the beach, speeding in the middle of the night, like darkness, as worrisome as that was for, the tides and whatnot. Like we were gonna like, hey, let's do it. And she never actually told us she wanted to go back to the Airbnb. The second she couldn't walk back to the car, and we like helped her. She said she wanted to go sit in the car, and so we helped take her to the car. Like grabbed an arm each. We put her in the car, shut the door, and we're like, guys, we're going. This is our opportunity. We are deciding for her. We are taking off. Because afterwards, like James, like they were talking about, they were like, yeah, she wanted to go back to the Airbnb. It's like, no, she never said that, guys. But now that we're here, we can like, I think we just technically she went against her will. Like she is like, but that's the great. But everything we're going through, I've been through it. The nausea, Stephanie, I'm sure, like you've done many of these. You ever get super nauseous right after the end?
Only if I'm running it in like she did. Like if you push at the end, that's the time that it's like, whoa.
Chad, you're constantly just sprinting in everything. I've never seen you not sprint in any of these races. I'm surprised you don't have a hard rock course record. But have you ever felt something similar?
Oh yeah, I mean at the end of most ultras. So that's how you should feel at the end, Katie. So that's great. That just means you gave it your all. So you're in it properly.
Yeah, we're all just back at the Airbnb drinking some beers. Not Katie, obviously, because I'm just like me. I don't want to eat or drink, although she's a lot faster than me too. So But just what are, as we get near the end of this or start wrapping this up, let's talk about the end. Back at the Airbnb, everyone's now under the same roof. Back with Regina, bunch of pizza, everyone just kicking back. Just what are your post race thoughts like about this whole thing?
Yeah, honestly, I was in like a state of disbelief. Like I felt like I had disassociated of like, nah, like I still have to go do it. Like I didn't really think that I had spent the whole day and actually completed the run. But then it was also really fun. I was kind of surprised I was awake, but I was like, oh, it's just residual caffeine and just energy. But it was nice to shower, even though it was kind of a painful shower, just the little bits that I was chafed. But it was nice to have like clean hair, and we were all just in the living room there. It was nice. We had the beach house still. The only reason I wanted to camp was because I thought the tides were going to be too crazy and like make it impossible to drive back in the dark like that. So I was like, well, let's just camp. We'll have a fire. I wanted s'mores at the end, but pizza, hanging out with everybody at the end, just talking about it. Everyone's disappointment about my feet not being more wrecked than they were. And I feel like we stayed up until midnight just talking about all kinds of things. And I ate more pizza than I thought I could stomach.
It was a great night. I almost fought Jamie, which was always a good night when I'm about to fight. Get in a fist fight with Jamie, just hearing everyone's stories. Just it felt like we were around like a metaphorical campfire inside the comfort of our cute little Airbnb. But we are now a few days removed. I know we're about to go out and celebrate and get as many people as we can together. But as of now, how are you feeling, Katie, about this whole experience?
Um, I'm really happy. Like just overall, like I've been really happy, and I'm proud of myself that I did the thing and I did it as hard as I could. But I'm also like really excited for more things in the future. Like I'm happy that I have the confidence that I can do this distance. I learned so much, so I'm excited to kind of carry all of those nuggets and like do the next one way better. Like even if I were to redo this again, I know I would have a totally different outcome, and it would be way better. Just so much improvement based off of how much I learned here. So a lot of gratitude, super happy. And my body's feeling okay. Grateful I have an old French bulldog who needs to go out on walks 3 times a day. So it's been good to get some movement in that way.
I thought you were about to say like an old coach or something. I was like, yeah, oh, she has an old coach, Chad. No, yeah.
Okay, I have a question while we're on this. So, what's next? Keys 100, Badwater 135. Like, I feel this heat. Like,
I
what's up?
mean, Badwater is on the wish list. I don't know how soon realistically that could happen, but most immediate is I am signed up for the Big Bend 100K in January, so that's
Yay!
just a couple of months away. So I'm gonna really focus on getting fully recovered. Chad's gonna get me hopped back into it just enough time to do it all over again.
Yep.
With
And that,
so much more expertise. You're taking so much into this next one.
and that's going to be with some people from the area, and that's I think the first 100K loop in a race format, right, in Texas, I think. Apparently, so it's the first time they're doing the 100K out there, so that'll be fun, and that's soon. So can't be sitting around too long. You gotta get ready for that one, and it'll be awesome to see you there. So proud of you, Katie. It was a fun, incredible experience. A lot more chill than I thought, and you were the easiest person in the world to crew, even though I was completely hands off. As much as I wish you had worse feet, so I could attend to that. And then Chad, be remiss, just your overall thoughts on Katie's FKT, if you don't mind sharing those.
Yeah, no, I'm just super proud of her. Just the whole execution, just her mindset throughout, really positive. She just really executed really well. I mean, she is giving a lot of thanks to the crew and the pacers, but really it all comes down to Katie. She did everything and just amazing. and I'm just so grateful and thankful that she asked me to help her and to be a part of it because it was a lot of fun and just an honor to be there.
So, since Andrew is frozen, I'm going to wrap this one up. We usually end the episode with a can't let it go. So, something that's been on your mind, running related or not running related, and hopefully. Okay, there he's unfrozen. We're starting the can't let it go,
It,
buddy. And he's frozen again. Okay, so Katie, if you want to go first, um, what's been on your mind?
Um, hmm. Honestly, what's been on my mind is recovering and getting ready for this next race. I'm excited and like kind of surprised, but not at the same time. Is Stephanie, you're super familiar with the ratio of men to women in races. For Big Bend right now, there's like a little over 20 women and like 120 participants total signed up. So we're a pretty significant minority in that distance. But that is like it's been in my mind a lot of like, okay, if there's only a few of us, we got to show up and show up well. And I'm excited to be out in the wild, wild west, and that'll be a whole new adventure.
I love it. Okay, Chad, what's been on your mind? What's something you can't let go?
Yeah, I guess for me, I mean, 2025 is coming to a close, so it's like that time of year where, we start thinking about races for 2026. Registrations are opening up. It's getting to be lottery season. I haven't planned out my 2026 at all, so it's just like going through all the races that I want to do, everything on my bucket list. So that's like really been on my mind. I need to get with the program and plan my 2026 season.
That's been on my mind too. I've actually signed up for two races within the last week, just trying to get like everything dialed in. And then like I have stuff on my calendar for like lotteries that I'm into lotteries, and there's two more that I'm going to enter like right when it comes up. Okay, so Andrew, do you want to do your can't let it go before you
yeah,
accidentally
I'm
take
gonna
off, and
hurry
then I'll
up.
do
I don't know
mine?
what's going on here. I usually lag out in the very beginning, like 8 times, but the world's on fire on my end. Can't let it go. The weather's gonna start getting better here soon, so let's see if I come out of retirement and start running more than 3 miles. So I'm excited about that.
But you've been
Um,
running fast.
I haven't been running at all, so I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm going to look at.
Oh,
I
are
saw
you
something
talking
on
about the fact that
Strava.
I logged my 63-mile activity on the beach as I was driving, and then Strava was going to flag me
No.
again if I didn't change it? Yeah, I recorded me driving on the beach on Strava. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I logged it as a
For
workout.
fun?
Yeah, just mainly just as a mile marker, just to keep track of exactly how far apart the 5 miles were for Katie, because some of the signs were actually pretty closer together than we thought. But yeah, so that's my can't let it go. Excited to start running again. But what I was
Oh,
going to,
it was almost 2.5 miles at a 10:34. That was pretty good. I did, and
that's,
you had a
excuse me,
5K at 10:04.
what are you talking about? Those are
I'm looking at your Strava.
oh, those are pre-work runs. Yeah, it's the middle of the dark. No, those are slow for me. See,
Okay, well,
you've
sorry,
gotten used to
sorry.
my
My
slow
interpretation of
running.
fast at 10:04 is
I remember
interpretation of
back in
fast.
the day, if I did a 9 minute pace, people thought I was going slower than usual. And now it's gone down to what, 11 would be slow for me? Come on, Stephanie. We're not pace shaming people though. But
You are, you
no,
are.
I'm pace shaming myself. But I'm proud. I'm happier now than I was
Okay,
when
so
I
I
was
want to do
more.
my can't let it go.
No, we're gonna end this now. So thank you everyone for joining us. Stephanie, we're going to let you go because I have all the power. No, I'm joking. Please hurry up and let it go.
Okay, so two things. I've been running my dog. So I got her in May, and I've been running her, and I'm taper week, so she's not going to get to run this week, maybe once. Um, but she did 75 miles this month already by 2 days ago. So she's
Wow.
been like running like, and I took her. She can do like 11 miles on the trail, and like she's really good. Like I can let her off leash. Like I don't want to fall on the like steep sections because she's tied to me. So I will like let her off. and she'll like run ahead, and like if someone's with us, they will call her to like chase them, and then she'll go with them until she gets to a turn, and if she can't see me, she'll come back and make sure I'm coming. And I just think it's the cutest thing, because it's like, and then she's like, okay, attach me again, like we're supposed to be attached. So I'm gonna GoPro it next time I run her on the trails, because it's just so cute how she like gets so excited and then it's like, oh, I don't want to leave you. And then the main thing I can't let go is I teach high school, and my kids brought up something about like how fast they run a marathon, and I was like, you've ran a marathon? What time? And they're like 2:37, and I was like, I don't believe it. And they had not. They were just talking shit. And then they're like, oh, Miss Stonebreaker, have you ran a marathon? And I was like, dude, I've told you, I've ran 100-miler. That's like almost 4 times. And they were like, what? And then like some girl said, I heard you poop your pants when you do those. And I was like, oh my God. First of all, no, you don't. Like, I didn't comment. I pretended like I didn't hear that. Anyways, I've had this happen before where 2 males, but this time it was 2 male students that were like, I can beat you if I beat you. And I was like, if you can beat me, or if you can beat my PR in a 100-miler, I will give you an A for the year. They like got their computer out and was looking for races. And I'm like, first of all, there's no way. We are in the middle of November. They would have till May when school lets out. They have like 5 months to train and do a sub 24-hour 100-miler. Like in my head, I'm like, there's no way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that teenage confidence with me to my race that's this weekend, that's pure mud. And I'm going to be like, just act like you can do it. They literally think they can beat me. I said, you've never ran a marathon, and you think in 5 months you can PR. And then they're like, it was just like crazy. I was like, well, what if it's muddy or raining? And they're like, well, then I don't need to bring water. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh.
Like they have no idea what they're getting into. And then they're like, well, I run 60 or 70 miles a week. I'll show you my Strava. I said, bring it up. And it was like 33 miles. I was like, okay, there's a big difference.
We are talking about
said,
kids here, right?
Yes.
This is
when one of them
talking
said
shit to
60
kids.
to 70
Nice.
miles, I was like, legit, that's respectable. Like if you were running 60 to 70 miles a week, that's respectable.
That's more than
like you probably
respectable.
could run 100-miler right now. But then when they, I asked for the receipts and they couldn't show it.
I think this is child abuse, to be honest.
I'm waiting.
Like,
I'm
I
waiting
don't
for
know.
an email.
I don't feel
I'm
so
waiting
good
for an
about
email
this.
from the parents to find out. But
Cool.
one of the other kids' dad runs 100-milers in our community. So, and because the kid was wearing a Lake Murray shirt a couple weeks ago, and then I was like, and I asked him questions, and then I text Ann Barnwell, and I said, I need to make friends with his mom. Can you make this happen? Like, if they're cool. So,
All right, so Stephanie's talking shit to kids now. So
they said, would you
Bring them out
us?"
to Snowdrop like those
There's-
middle school boys last
Oh,
year.
that
Yeah.
Katie and Laura bullied. Hey, that means there's more things no longer off topic for me to talk about. So I don't want, if you're talking shit about kids, then I have free.
I'm
rein for
not.
some
I
other
told
things.
them I would
Oh
totally
yeah,
support them.
child abuse. Anyways,
I told them to do grasslands, and I will be there at the aid station. They said,
So-
you're going to be there for the whole 30 hours? I said, yes. If I can run for 30 hours, I can volunteer for 30 hours. Like,
My God, we're in a world now where we're just like verbally assaulting and just.
I'm not. I'm
absolutely
encouraging.
Let's.
They said they could beat me, and I said, I will cheer you on to beat me.
All right. So Stephanie wants to beat a child. Let's end on that note, and also put it on the poll. Have you made it in trail running yet? If you have not shit your pants, we're gonna add that to some of our poll questions. So let's end this episode, and I want to end it really fast, just quick. Top of your head, what was your favorite memory from my race, other than Katie finishing? My favorite memory is that Laura lost her Birkenstocks, and it ruined the rest of her day. And
oh my God, those are expensive.
that was hilarious. So Chad, quick, on top of your head, favorite memory other than Katie finishing?
Seeing the baby shark.
Ooh, and seeing Kevin just absolutely yeet it into the ocean with a reckless abandon.
Yep, that was awesome.
Katie, what about you?
Probably the first time I saw you guys through the pylons, and Jamie and John have got the disco cowboy hats, and you guys are all smiling there waiting for me, and I was like, damn, we're doing
Is
this.
that when they were dancing to the song about letting your coochie breathe? And
Yes.
then Laura, of all people, just dancing to it. I'm like, this. I don't know, dude. It was like
It was
that was a
awesome.
weird song. That was a vibe. All right, so thank you very much, Katie, for joining us, and Chad, the coach, which we'll definitely have you on. Do a deep dive into the psyche. I'm gonna try to see if I can mentally break you on one of these episodes soon. But thank you so much, Katie, for joining us. We're so proud of you. An epic journey. Let's revel in your success a bit longer before moving on to your next big thing, which it's only up from here. So, and you're at a good starting point. So congratulations, Katie, and thank you so much for joining us, Chad, for this episode. So, as always, Stephanie, yeah, she's not paying
Happy
attention.
endings.
She's all over the place. She's
I'm
probably
following
shit-talking
everybody
a
on
kid right now.
Strava.
She's talking shit to a 16-year-old. Happy
They
endings.
started it. I
All
just
right.
said do it.
Remember, do not leave yet, for the love of God. End it.